Hi everyone, Tony from Hack the Movies here. And even though the Hellboy movies don't make a lot of money, they keep rebooting it. And today we're going to talk about the Hellboy reboots. What is the worst Hellboy reboot so far today?
Am I allowed to say it now?
No,
Okay.
at the end. Today on Hack the Movies.
I have one, though, that is definitely my least favorite.
Yes. So,
Okay.
feels like just 5 minutes ago we were talking about Hellboy 2, a really good movie.
I know.
Oh, God. Remember that time?
Just stayed on those vibes.
Instead, we're talking about the failed reboots. Which is, both of these are sad to me, especially the first one, the 2019 one, because it's directed by Neil Marshall, who's a director I like. I have one of his early films up there, Dog Soldiers. Did you ever see Dog Soldiers?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, Dog Soldiers is awesome. I like his stuff. Doomsday, I think, was underrated. He did like The Descent. He did some cool shit. So
there are things about this movie that I like.
yes.
So it's not like
Space Guy, you gotta shut the hell up.
she has thoughts.
Yeah? What?
She sounds like one of those toys, the kaleidoscope things where you had like something inside like that rubber tube.
That's what she sounds like. Hold on. So Space Cat cried, so we would bring her downstairs.
Yeah.
And then she cried over there because she wanted me to get up so I could watch her go up the stairs, even though she could have just went up the stairs without me. Anyway, yes, there are things to like and not like in these films. But yeah, so Hellboy 2019, I finally watched it for this. I have been not even really avoiding it, but again, I'm not really like a Hellboy comic guy. I just like those two movies. I thought those were interesting, and I wanted to see a proper ending to those films. I found out that this was not it. It was a straight up reboot. Apparently, it was going to be more faithful to the comics. I think Mike Mignola worked on this one as well.
Yeah, he kind of touched on all of them.
Yeah. He's involved in some way with all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was supposed to be closer to the comics. It was going to be edgier and more violent. They were embracing the R rating. Yeah, so I thought like maybe I would dig it. Maybe I'll check it out on video. The trailers came out and I'm like, this is just not doing it for me. And they got David Harbour. They had a good cast. They got Mila Jovovich. I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to be a good movie, but she's fine. You got David Harbour, Ian McShane. You have some good people in here. And
Daniel Day Kim,
which I saw there was controversy with that character. The bad guy from Deadpool 1, Ed Skrein, that actor, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. They cast him in that part, and then all the Hellboy fans are like, but that's a Japanese character. What are you doing? Or I don't know if it's Japanese, but like an Asian character. So yeah, they were like, luckily, and like the actor who I don't think he knew, and he's like, I don't want the part. I'm out. Get someone.
I don't need this press.
Whoa, I probably should have looked at a picture of the comic before I signed on. My bad.
I figured my agent knew, but
I'm out. And also considering how well this movie did, good on him. So yeah, they were going to do their own thing, start fresh. Not really an origin story, though. Very brief origin.
I was going to say, it still touches on an origin story for him.
Yes.
And I mean, it's kind of a focus.
I guess a little bit. But yeah, did you see this in theaters? Did you rush out to see this one?
I did not see this in theaters. I think I was I was disappointed that they were rebooting it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've seen all the Spider-Man films. That's been rebooted how many times? But yeah, same thing. I was like, don't have a strong interest to go see this in theaters. I will say I have watched this movie 3 times now.
Really?
To be fair, first time I fell asleep watching it.
Okay.
So then I had to try it again. And then I made it through the whole movie. And
Okay.
then we were doing this. So like with my memory, I was like, well, I got to watch it again. So I had to make notes. And there were things I was like, oh yeah, I did like that.
Yeah, so I went in completely fresh to this.
Okay.
Not knowing much about it. It was an experience. I mean, David Harbour, I think on paper, sounds good as Hellboy. I didn't like the look at him.
Yeah, they made him, I want to say like he was skinnier.
Yeah.
Like, and like Hellboy's supposed to be this big hulking figure.
Mm.
And like, yeah, they put on muscle on him and like packed it on a little bit, but like it just wasn't the same like lurking. I don't want to say lurking, but like big presence.
You know, like one of the problems is there is a problem where like a first adaptation gets it so right. Like Ron Perlman looks like Hellboy.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
looks pretty much like lifted from the page minus the tiny little goat legs. So yeah, so I know you want to have like your own stamp on it and change it enough, but now it just looks kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something off about him that I
will
couldn't
say,
get behind.
like, I feel like they also did try to make his face more devilish.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Yeah. And also his voice. He's not really doing like an accent or anything.
no, he's kind of just doing his voice.
He's doing David Harbour's
Yeah.
voice, to be honest. And I like David Harbour. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm here to bring you back in. Come on, buddy, let's go.
I hate the opening narration.
Oh, I do not like it.
This is okay. Oh man, there really is. There's that criticism. You ever see that criticism of MCU dialogue where people will shit on how like dialogues in the MCU?
No.
Where they're like, it's just how like it's mostly like how Joss Whedon kind of like ruined dialogue where everyone's just a little too witty.
Okay.
Well, there literally is one of the big examples is when people will be like, oh, then they look at the camera and go, that just happened. That's literally the end of this film. The post credit, they do that just happened.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of just like way too snarky, ironic dialogue. So this opening dialogue, it's Ian McShane narrating. He's now Broom. I like Ian McShane.
I love Ian McShane, and like normally I would love him as like this in this kind of Hellboy world.
Mm-hmm.
But I love John Hurt as this sweet doddering like professor and dad to Hellboy.
I don't know if this is more accurate. I'm not sure. I didn't read those books, but I hate the whole like he's telling the story. He's like, yeah, and tons of fucked up shit. I'm like, okay, this could work. I've
like
seen
they're definitely going for the more colder,
more like
version,
tongue in cheek, I guess. But like it for whatever reason, it's just not working for me.
Yeah.
So that was annoying. But yeah, he tells the story of an evil queen, the Blood Queen, played by Mila Jovovich, who was killed by King Arthur and Excalibur. Well, not killed. She can't die.
No.
They can only
chopped her into pieces.
Chop her into pieces. And also, some witches betrayed her. I mentioned that because it's real easy to forget. And when they come back later in the movie, you're like, oh, right. There were other things. And they spread her around the world so she can't rebuild herself. And she basically has the same. And that's the other thing. For a reboot, it feels a lot like the other two. Where she also wants to get rid of humans and make the world for fairy tale creatures. And so like, we just saw that. Like, we just saw that. As much as people. That's how I felt with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, where it's like,
yeah, when they redo the origin
this
story.
is a fresh Spider-Man, and this
Batman does that too.
Yeah, Batman, they changed it up a little bit. But I mean, like with Spider-Man, it was just like, and in our first movie, he's gonna get his powers and fight a green guy, and it's like, well, that was literally the first Spider-Man movie. So at least Homecoming felt fresh. It's like, well, he's never teamed up with an Avenger and done all this shit. Although the bad guy was green once again because it was the Vulture. But anyway. But like Batman Begins and Batman 89, other than they use some kind of gas weapon, other than that, the rest feels different. And Batman v Superman feels very different from those movies because those movies are okay and Batman v Superman is garbage.
All right, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Another thing about Batman, But no, yeah, so that's a problem with a lot of these reboots that are done like too soon. It's just like, I mean, I guess there was 10 years in between, but most people know Hellboy from the movies. So it's just like, no, we've seen this plot before. Even her being broken up is like the crown in Hellboy 2 being broken up. That's setting up our villain. And then we meet Hellboy, who is going to wrestle a friend of his
in Mexico.
I don't know if it was Mexico or Japan, but one thing I remember about the promotion for this movie, some foreign wrestling promotion, might have been New Japan, I'm not sure. They had a wrestler dress up in this Hellboy suit, and they did a whole wrestling match as Hellboy to promote this film.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't think it worked, but that's like the one thing I remember was like, oh yeah, that's right. Hellboy technically wrestled a guy recently.
I will say though, but I did like this vampire character, how he turned into an actual like vampire bat.
Yeah.
Like man bat kind of thing.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes, I am very strict on if you're a vampire, you have to turn into a bat. And that was my one regret with Mummy Cop is I never turned Dracula into a bat. He was supposed to be, and we had to rewrite the entire last episode, and I could not fit in a Bat Dracula, and it haunts me to this day, and I'll never forgive myself. Although I will say, the effects in the first two still hold up, still great. Maybe the first Hellboy movie, rubbery CGI here and there.
Yeah.
The effects in this are hit and miss. Like,
yeah, there are some
when he is the bat, it's cool. But the transformation to the bat, I remember just going like, and I watched it. If I had just watched this in like a vacuum, then it'd be fine. But like immediately following Hellboy 2, The Golden Army to this, I went, like, oh no, that looks so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, how do you feel about this opening fight scene?
Yeah, I'm okay. Like, it's trying to balance a little bit of like humor with the dark like side, but it's just kind of awkward because it's like Hellboy's like, he's my best friend, and like Ian McShane's like, he doesn't give a fuck about you. Like he works for us. He has to spend time with you. Yeah. And like Hellboy's like, no, he's my friend, and we do cool shit together.
Oh, and then you're right. Like the whole tone. You're right. The tone is the problem with this because like, you know, they're doing the backstory, being all witty and stuff. He's like shitting on the guy. So when he like accidentally like kills the vampire, it's suddenly like a sad scene, and I didn't realize it was supposed to be a sad scene. Like I was waiting for him to like crack a joke or something, but I'm like, oh no, this is like, and this sets off his struggle throughout the whole film.
Yeah, because the biggest thing about this movie is that it lacks the humanity component for Hellboy.
Yes.
Like he has no real connection to any like humanity or like
other
the people
than,
that he's helping or
other than
like
his
that.
Like dad and the people who work
and
there.
His dad doesn't even give a fuck about him.
Although this is weird because in this version of Hellboy, he is public. So he could be hanging out with people. It made more sense, I guess, in the other movies where he was like sheltered.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, the point is like he kills his friend and he has the struggle. Like, should I be killing monsters or should I be helping them?
Yeah.
And it'll play into the villains thing. But like it kind of falls apart in this first scene because I didn't realize this was a serious emotional beat. Because everything was just so witty and tongue-in-cheek, and it just, the way it was shot and everything didn't feel like it was emotional until he's like, I'm sad. I'm like, oh, I guess he's sad. So yeah, that's a problem right away. Also, the BPRD is now on top of a snowy mountain. And
they left Jersey.
I guess they're no longer in Trenton. Well, this is a different unit. In this universe, they are not in Trenton, New Jersey. Unless there's a big snowy mountain that I've somehow missed my entire life while driving through Trenton, New Jersey. I don't spend a lot of time in Trenton, New Jersey. Yeah. It's not the best place. Shout out to the 5 people in Trenton who watched
who are now going to hate us.
So yeah, that's where the BPRD is in this. There are 2 monsters conspiring against Hellboy. We learn who the one is later on. But it's like a witch lady and
Baba Yaga.
Yes, it's the Baba Yaga. I was going to wait until he said Baba
I'm sorry.
Yaga. That's fine. It's the Baba Yaga. Not John Wick.
We're trying to get through this real fast.
Which I complained about in the John Wick. I don't like in John Wick that they call him Baba Yaga. Because my image of Baba Yaga is the old witch lady in the house with chicken legs. And
Yeah.
every time they say that to John Wick, I'm like, he doesn't look like an old witch lady in a house with chicken legs. But yes, the Baba Yaga is conspiring with another monster to bring the Blood Queen back to life. And they're both mad at Hellboy because Hellboy had previous adventures where he hurt them.
Yeah, he took Baba Yaga's eye.
Yes.
And then the pig, we find out later, like, what he was pissed off about, right?
Yes. And of course, the pig is a classic comic book character, Bebop from Ninja Turtles. I don't know how they got him in here. I kept asking, where's Rocksteady? And I'm like, what is this changeling stuff? You got mutated by ooze. I reviewed every Ninja Turtles movie that featured Bebop. I know this, Monica.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And they don't call him Bebop. And I was just like, that's clearly Bebop. What else would that
The
be?
funny thing is, I don't remember what his name is.
I don't either. My notes, he is Bebop. He is nothing else. He's just Bebop.
Do I have it anywhere? Like, this is gonna take too long. Yeah, I don't know. The changeling Bebop. I don't know. Pig thing.
Yeah, so like they sent Hellboy to Europe to meet with another secret society to join them for a monster hunt.
This is another random thing. They're like, oh, Ian's like, my friend's called. They want you to help hunt trolls.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, giants.
I'm sorry.
Giants. And then we find out that Broom is immortal because of a thing they did the night that Hellboy entered the world. They redo Hellboy's origin with Rasputin. Knife Guy is there, but he is not as cool.
That's the weird thing. Is like they use that setup, but then like it's the Lobster Johnson.
Lobster Johnson by Thomas. What's his name? Thomas. Was it Thomas Ian Church? The fucking.
I know who you're talking about. But
the Sandman from Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah,
that's it. He's Lobster Johnson, which I had to look up. Is a character from like the Hellboy and the BPRD stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing to put. Maybe that was in the comic. Well, I know the Rasputin stuff is from the comic, so it makes sense that they would redo that for this. Mm-hmm. Although it doesn't look anywhere near as cool as the first one.
It's not as dramatic, and then it's like they like just come in and they take care of shit.
And Lobster Johnson has a claw that like melts Rasputin and kills him.
Like justice.
Yeah. Here's my problem with Lobster Johnson.
Tell me.
So when I looked up who he was, I was like, why are they putting like a different superhero in this? What are they doing? And then it occurred to me, I'm like, oh no.
They were trying to do a spinoff?
Were they going to try and do like a fucking Hellboy shared universe? And they're like, well, if you like this movie, we'll explore the adventures of Lobster Johnson in his own other film. And it's like, no, guys, it's already... You had two good movies that were hard to make a profit. Don't start planning shared universe shit until this actually takes off, for the love of God. Oh my God. Yeah. So that annoyed me about Lobster Johnson.
He put so much venom in his name.
By the way, no, you know what? They don't even say his name, by the way. So I'm just like, why is there a random superhero guy?
I guess I just knew him from like the comics and stuff. Oh,
I didn't know him until I Googled. I'm like, why is Thomas in this? Oh yeah, so they redo that. Hellboy didn't know any of this about his origin.
Oh, also, baby Hellboy is hideous.
Yeah, he's not as cute as the other one.
Like,
not that a baby demon monster should be cute.
Yeah, he's like an actual looking baby that's devilish instead of like the monkey little thing.
Nah, I like the monkey one more.
I was like, I don't want to ever see this again in the movie.
So yeah, they give him his origin and everything. Hellboy gets ready. Bebop shows up and kills some monks and takes a tongue from one of them to free the witch. And she's just like, I'm ahead. Blah. Yeah. We're gonna free everything. This did catch me off guard when Hellboy goes to prepare for the hunt, and it turns out it's him that they're hunting. That one, I'm like, okay. I didn't see that coming. That's interesting.
I feel like they were kind of hinting at it, though, like when they're showing off the head, like the trophy heads on the wall, and like, oh, look at all these creatures that we hunt for and these monsters and stuff.
Yeah, and then all that goes out the window because the giants just kill them. Gallery. I'm like, I thought, That would have been interesting to explore a little bit further, but I guess the Giants just killed him. Okay. That's more interesting than another bad guy that wants to have an army to kill all the humans. I'm like, I kind of like warring paranormal research facility, like struggling over Hellboy. I'm like, they haven't done that yet.
No.
That'd be cool. Yeah, and then the Blood Witch, she wants to kill the world because TV. She watches an hour of TV and decides that the world has not gotten better.
That scene is a little funny though, because like
I do like that her
pieces.
arm is separated. Yeah,
yeah, she's in all different pieces. Like she's not whole yet, and she's like watching all the reality TV.
Yeah, and Bebop is another one where the effects are kind of hit or miss. They're mostly good for him.
Yeah.
Then we get to the giant fight, which is the definition of hit or miss. There's like a few moments that look cool, and then it turns into like they try to do it like all in one camera take at some point, and you can tell when it's like partially a set to just a full CGI set, and it looks so bad. Again, following up Hellboy 2 immediately with this film was a terrible idea. It just makes this film look so much worse by comparison. Also, there's 2 eye stabs in this, so 0 stars. And then speaking of cringe MCU-ish dialogue.
Is that my Uber?
Oh.
Is that my Uber?
Is it?
Oh, no.
B?
I didn't call an Uber. No, something Robin Hood. I probably have no money in my stocks. Anyway, I just saw Robin Hood. I'm like, why cry? Yeah, it's cringe. So some lady saves him. It's one of the chicks from the new Twisters movie. Did you see Twisters? Mm-hmm. How'd you feel about my twin brother, Glenn Powell? He did a good job in that film.
Yeah.
Did he remind you of me watching it? What? But we're the same person.
Mm-mm.
He was a YouTuber in the movie.
You don't chase tornadoes.
We're YouTubers, and we were both in The Dark Knight Rises. We're the same person, Monica.
Okay.
We both have beautiful hair.
Is this like a twin scenario? Like you're the Danny DeVito and he's the Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I'm going to pretend you never said that. I'm going to pretend you never said that. This is going to be your last episode, you bitch.
No, it's not.
Monica, we have like 15 other cousins, all right? I'll get one of them on here.
Good luck.
Nicolina keeps wanting to come on the show. I haven't put her on yet because I'm not an idiot, but out of spite, I might put her on.
Do it.
Thank God they don't watch this show. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yeah, she was in Twisters.
Yeah.
She's Alice. She's a medium.
She is a medium because... Are we spoiling it?
Yeah, we can
don't
spoil
care.
it. Fairies kidnapped her.
Yeah, so basically... Bebop was her for a little while.
Yeah. So yeah, fairies kidnapped her and they left a changeling in their place. Yeah. And the parents knew it wasn't their baby. It was Bebop.
They could tell. And they somehow knew to contact the BPRD.
Well, because it's not a secret in this universe.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So they contacted the BPRD. Hellboy comes out. He knows immediately.
I will say, because it's supposed to be 1992, I do like Hellboy's grunge look. I do like he's got like he's got the Kurt Cobain look going on. I'm like, all right, if you're gonna show Hellboy in different time periods, that's kind of funny.
So yeah, he goes and he injures Bebop somehow. I don't really know how that works, but like I guess Bebop's ostracized after that. Or
yeah,
something.
He like beats the shit out of him and tells him to return the baby, and the fairies return the baby because they're afraid of Hellboy.
Yeah, but because of that happening, now Alice is a medium somehow. I guess
they gave her powers and she can talk to the dead.
Yeah, which sucks.
And the dead people are scared of the world ending and they want her to kill Hellboy. She's got like a shotgun, but she's not going to kill him.
Yeah.
Everyone's just always afraid of Hellboy. Like, he's going to end the world. He's like, I don't even want to. Like, why is everyone so mean to me?
I just want to listen to my rock music.
Broom shows up. He introduces Hellboy to Ben.
They also like break all the windows in her apartment.
Oh yeah, they just shatter her apartment.
Yeah, like she got swatted.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need to get you back, Hellboy. And he's like, you could just fucking knock on the door. I'm like, this poor Alice's apartment's just like smashed to pieces.
But yeah, this is when we get introduced to Ben, who hates monsters. He's got a scar on his face.
Agent Ben Damio.
I don't remember his last name.
I have it written down.
Monica, I'm calling the pig Bebop. Do you think I care about any of these characters' names?
Okay, well, so now that we met Damio,
We get a little witch hunting
but
gang.
it's also that we complete this new trio.
Yes.
Now they're Liz and Abe.
Yes. And nowhere near as cool as Liz or Abe.
No.
They're pretty lame. I don't like Daniel Day Kim, and I like her. She's like okay in this, but like compared to like Liz, no.
It's weird though, because like Hellboy just immediately kind of like adopts her and takes her
By the way, he hasn't seen her since she was a little kid. He's like, well,
Yeah.
anyway, you're mine now.
Yeah, like he's just like, all right, like you're my little protege, my like little sister, like
Yeah.
you're part of this group.
I guess they needed a woman in there, and they didn't want to do a love story again. So they're like, oh, we'll do like a surrogate father sort of thing. Although she's like an adult, so it doesn't really work. It's like, okay, she's like a grown person. Who cares?
Yeah.
But they find corpses all over the secret society's mansion.
Yeah, they take her with them.
Yeah.
Which is,
And
I
she's
think-
freaking out.
Yeah, and Ben brings it up. He's like, why are we bringing like her? Like she's not an agent.
Yeah, but they mentioned she can speak to the dead, so it's good to have.
Yeah,
now,
like Broom is just like,
no, Monica,
okay.
is this character in any of the comics you read?
Alice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. When she summons a soul, does it look like her esophagus mixed with like snot and a person? Because she
That
like,
I don't remember.
because she throws up these people, and they
Yeah.
are hard to look at.
Oh, I know. They're just like, why they're like always like naked and like rotting.
It
looking?
looks gross, which again, like,
It adds to
for-
like the horror element.
it does. Okay, for this scene, I don't mind it. I have more of a problem with it at the end because it totally takes the emotional impact out of it. But this is one of those things where I'm like, maybe this is how it is in the comics, but I would have rethought how they do this visually.
Yeah, I mean, in
this
the comics, like you could show that differently in the comics. Like the art style could be different, and
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly.
but
how
she
it
just
goes.
looked gross, and I was like, whoa. I'm like, I don't want to look at her. Which again, for a horror or comedy thing, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll explain why it's such a big issue at the end. But yeah, she's like, oh, there's an evil witch. She's a queen. She wants a king. And that's you, Hellboy. And you fucking suck. So we wanted to kill you so she couldn't use you as a king.
But I also have a hard time, like, when you see all the, like, dead bodies in this secret society, I'm like, I have a hard time believing Bebop killed them so, like, viciously. And with, like...
Yeah, it'd be weird it'd be fine if he had, like, a team.
Well, even, like, if we saw him, like, kill people a little more, like, drastically beforehand.
Yeah.
And this, like, you're
Or-
seeing, like, heads split open and, like...
Hold on. It could be a thing where... Because I'm trying to figure out how he survived this, because these are expert hunters, but I think all the hunters were killed by giants during that previous scene. So
Oh.
maybe like their A team got taken out because they were distracted by Hellboy and they didn't leave the best at the mansion.
It's possible, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't...
Bebop got real lucky. He didn't know the giants were going to kill all the main guys. He's just like, I'm going to
Everything's-
kill all. You're like, oh, there's just one of you and a bunch of random people. Oh, this
My
is
luck
wicked.
is changing.
My luck. Everything's looking up Bebop. Just picturing Millhouse and Simpsons, the flood. Everything's turning up Millhouse. You okay?
Yeah. I didn't want to spit out my coffee.
The Queen psychically communicates with Hellboy.
Yeah.
And again, is doing what the two previous bad guys in the films did, where they're like, we want you to work with us to do the apocalypse.
Yeah. You
Although
belong on our side.
Rasputin just wanted to end the world, but Nuada wanted him to save all fairy tale creatures. So it's just like, is this going to be... Well, it turns out it's not every Hellboy movie. But it's going to be like, is this going to be every Hellboy movie? I'm the new bad guy, and I want to use you to use your world-ending powers for my own gain. It's like, okay. Doing this a third time. Yeah, and then this is where we would have gotten the flashback. We already talked about that. Hellboy considers the possibility that the Queen wants a safe world for monsters.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, she's like murdering everyone, has a bad track record, Hellboy. I get where you're coming from, Hellboy, but maybe not with this one.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, this one is just... He doesn't have that, like, strong connection to humanity to
Yeah.
really be like, no, like, I'm fighting to save humans. I'm like protecting people. In this movie, he's just like, I mean, I guess she's got a point.
Yeah, he's like, why am I killing monsters? I'm a monster. Are they going to kill me?
Yeah, my dad just gave me a gun when I was like 8 years old and made me an agent.
Yeah. Speaking of guns, Ben, what is the magic bullet that Ben has?
It's meant to kill Hellboy.
They could just do that? He seemed pretty indestructible.
Well, remember that like priest is just like, no, it's got the tears of some saint or something. Like it, I don't know. Like, does he really know it's gonna kill him?
I was gonna say, like, they didn't test it out.
No,
How do you even
like,
test that out?
He's just like, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure. So Ben's keeping that as like a backup.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna use this just in case. So yeah, Hellboy's getting more anti-human. He takes an elevator trip to a forest, so the Baba Yaga can just summon him whenever she wants.
Yeah.
And she's creepy, and we do get to see the chicken house.
I love that part.
Yeah.
I love seeing they did a great job with the chicken house.
Yes. I would just love a Baba Yaga. I mean, I've seen movies with the Baba Yaga in them. The Russian Jack Frost movie from like the 60s or whatever. Not good. It's not a good movie. But I would like to see like a really good, scary Baba Yaga. Did you play that Tomb Raider game that had the Baba Yaga mission? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool. I want something like that.
There's a game out that like you can be like your own like Baba Yaga and have your own like little chicken house.
You can drive the chicken house?
I don't know if you can drive it, but like there's a game about it. Anyway.
No, I want to be like in Gears of War 2 when you could ride the monsters. I want that, but the Baba Yaga chicken house, and I just want to be like stepping
I'll
on
find out
things.
for you.
Thank you.
There is I'm gonna go down a random track here. In the first Final Fantasy 7 game, for some reason when you're like in this arena that you're like having to fight different creatures, like one of them is the Baba Yaga house, and like you have to fight the Baba Yaga house, and it's weird.
Does it have chocobo legs?
I think so.
That makes sense. It's their universe's Baba Yaga.
Yeah, it's like totally random, and my husband's of like, of course, like, no, this makes total sense. I'm like, okay. I don't know.
One last thing with the Baba Yaga. Everyone complains that new versions of Tomb Raider like aren't hot. Like she's not as hot as she's supposed to be.
A Lara Croft or Baba Yaga?
Lara Croft. And they're always complaining like, oh, she's not hot, her boobs aren't big enough, whatever. And I agree with all of it. But the funny thing is, when I play those games, like the newer ones, I usually play with the Baba Yaga skin where she's just got like a deer head. Or I switch to the PS1 graphics so everything looks real jarring. Like all the cutscenes, it's
pointy?
like, all the cutscenes, it's like the most detailed guy ever. He's like, listen up, Lara. Then it cuts to PS1 Lara. It's like, burr, burr, burr. Meanwhile, guys are like, Lara Croft's not hot anymore. I'm like, I go out of my way to make her look like a joke when I play the game, so it doesn't really bother me. Although that new animated series looked like garbage. I didn't even bother with it.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet, yeah.
And I was going to give it a chance because I love Tomb Raider and I wanted the animated series, and they played a couple clips and the writing was, they're literally stealing memes.
Oh.
You ever see that meme where they're like, it's like a meme that chicks share with. It's like, I love your dress. And the girl goes, thanks. It has pockets. Did you ever see that meme?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a line of dialogue in the Tomb Raider thing. And they released that as a clip. I'm like, you're stealing memes from Facebook and you're writing? This sucks.
Well, we're going to go down this other rabbit hole. I've noticed, like, this year's Saturday Night Live, they're, like, just poking fun at, like, TikTok trends and, like, TikTok video creators.
Yeah, you're going to keep up with the times. Like, who's watching Saturday Night Live?
But it's, like almost beat for beat of what they're making fun of. And I'm like, this is weird.
That was my issue with, like, Family Guy, when they did too many reference, and eventually they would just recreate scenes. And I'm like, is the joke is that instead of Captain Kirk, it's a talking dog? Because it's just the scene. What is this?
Yeah, like they're just kind of having their characters like almost redo these TikTok videos, and I'm like, no. Okay.
It did make me sad watching that Saturday Night movie, which at this point on the channel we reviewed on a wrap up. Did you hear about that one?
No.
It's a new movie. It's out right now, or at the time of this.
Oh, well, I mean, like I want to see it.
Yeah, it was really good. Probably one of the best movies I've seen all year. But yeah, it got me like, because I used to watch old Saturday Night Live stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, they really used to like try a little bit more, but times change.
Yeah.
Where were we at here? Oh yeah, the Baba Yaga.
So she summoned Hellboy to her house.
She summoned Hellboy to the house. She's another one of the like, you got to team up with the queen. It'll be great, and I'll tell you where she is if you give me one of your eyes.
Yeah.
Also, she's feeding him dead babies,
Yeah.
and he seems mildly irritated about it, but not as mad as he should be.
Yeah, he's not very grossed out.
Yeah.
He's like, oh.
And this should be like a point for him. He's like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe monsters, much like humans, are good and evil. Maybe I shouldn't go all in on either side.
No.
But
and then he makes out with Baba Yaga.
He makes out with her, but then he tells her, like, I'm not giving you my eye. You didn't specify when. They get into a fight, and he leaves. They go to face the queen, and then Ben gives his backstory where him and his men were fighting like a werecat.
Yeah.
And then all the men died except for him. And then the whole time, I'm just like, he's a werecat.
Were-jaguar. I feel like you should emphasize that he's a were-jaguar.
Okay. Remember that season of True Blood where they try to work in the were-panther storyline?
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone hated it?
Well, it's in the books.
I know, but everyone hated it. So then afterwards, they're like, oh, he's not going to turn into a were-panther. And also, all those babies, all those women he impregnated, we're never going to go back to that. No were-panthers. Don't look for him.
Stick.
Huh?
It didn't stick.
It didn't stick. Yeah. It turns out he's infertile. There will be no were-panthers in this show. Never bring up the were-panthers ever again. It didn't work.
We're not doing very good with this fast break.
No, we're faster than usual, actually. We're almost done.
Okay.
But this one. Yeah, the whole time, like, he's going to be a were-jaguar. He's going to be a were-jaguar. Just turn already. It's not a surprise.
Yeah, they really drag it out.
I have here... Oh, they're zombies now.
I hated the scene.
It's like they just needed, like, another action beat. And they're like, oh, and I guess on their way, they'll fight some...
It has such weird editing.
It feels like a reshoot, like an added scene. Because I'm like, what the fuck do zombies have to do with this?
Yeah, but it like cuts to them, and I almost feel like it's a music video where it's like, look at this zombie, look at that one, and then they're fighting and stuff. No, I did not like that scene.
Yeah, and then the Blood Queen gets her blood, and now there's more monsters. And then I have, oh right, there were other witches. From the prologue, we have not heard of these witches since then.
No. We don't know what they've been doing this whole entire time.
We don't even know what they did originally. They just said that they betrayed her for King Arthur, and they weren't specific. But now that she's back, they're like, please don't kill us. And she kills 2 of them. And then, like, the Hellboy, like, shoots the girl in the face. Oh, and I have here, I guess Alice can punch ghosts out of people's bodies now. They're really just throwing a lot of things at the end of this film. But yeah,
this isn't even the end.
It's close to the end. But the queen begs Hellboy to be his king again.
To be her king.
Sure. And he turns her down again. Is this the part where he calls her a bitch, or is that later?
I don't know.
Or he calls her like fucking insane or something like that. There was they used it in all the trailers.
But this is not gonna work, because I'm a Capricorn and you're fucking nuts!
So she gives Alice a splinter.
Yeah, she shoots a twig from her crown, shoots Alice right in the neck.
Yep. And
Hellboy's very upset about this.
But don't worry, that other witch is like, I know what'll help her. Go to this cave and find Merlin. Like,
He's buried under the earth.
He's
for betraying Arthur.
Oh, he's just there the whole time. Okay, I guess we'll go find Merlin.
Well, that is in the legends.
Is that?
Yeah, that he's buried under like a...
I haven't watched the 1980 whatever movie Excalibur in a long time, and that is the only King Arthur that I recognize, okay? The only other King Arthur I recognize is from Transformers The Last Night, where it was played by Stanley Tucci.
Oh, really?
That was weird. That movie fucking sucked.
I just love Stanley Tucci.
Well, that was weird because Stanley Tucci played like a tech guy in Transformers 4. And then in Transformers 5, in the flashback scene, he's Merlin. I'm like, are they going to say that these characters are related? They don't. They just brought Stanley Tucci back as a distracting cameo. So anyway.
So we find out, like, Merlin, he's like his skeletal remains, and then he, like, reanimates.
Yeah.
And we find out that Hellboy is related to King Arthur.
Yes, because the mother of Hellboy was a descendant of King Arthur. Yes. And then she got it on with a goat demon, which explains...
She was a witch.
Yes.
And she got it on with...
Which, Hellboy's dad being a goat demon makes a little bit more sense than Hellboy's dad.
Azazel.
Yeah. With the demon from the movie Fallen, starring Denzel Washington?
Yeah, same one.
That was a good movie. Anyway, this makes more sense than his father being 7 different Cthulhus.
Yeah.
And, maybe they adopted Hellboy. They're the dads that stepped up. Okay. and then Rasputin was the dad who stepped up, but then Broom was really the dad who stepped up. It's got a lot of stepdads. So he's got the blood of 2 kings, I guess, the demon Azazel and King Arthur. So Merlin's like, okay, so I gotta summon. We don't know where Excalibur is, but I can summon it here temporarily. And you grab the sword. It's the only thing that can cut her up. And let's do this.
You're the only one, because of your bloodline, that can take the sword out of the stone.
Yes. And then he does it, but then when he touches the sword.
Yeah, he doesn't pull it out.
And he gets a vision of him riding a dragon, just killing everyone. It doesn't look anywhere near as cool. It's too much.
Yeah. It's once again kind of almost music video-ish.
Yeah. But it's so funny. I hate comparing them, but that scene of just Hellboy imagining what the apocalypse was in the first one, and him with the crown, that's all you really needed.
I bet he's slicing and dicing.
Yeah, that's what he's like. Whoa!
Yeah. He's like, fuck people. He's killing everybody left and right.
So yeah, he decides not to touch Excalibur. Merlin's like, fuck, blah, and he dies.
Yeah, he's like, I used my last bit of magic. That
was the last.
And this is hilarious. You said we can spoil, right?
Yeah.
It's hilarious because Hellboy, they go to the church and King Arthur's sword is right there. And I was like, well, that just ruined King Merlin's whole thing. Nobody knows where this sword is. 5 minutes later, they stumble on
Yeah,
it.
the queen is like, oh, by the way, the sword's there. I've known all along. It's like, well, how did you know? You got your head cut off and we're separate. Who told you this? Also, the Blood Queen kills everyone at the BPRD, including, she kidnaps Broom.
She takes him.
And now Bebop is bigger and stronger.
Yes.
And then I have here, Ben is a furry. By that, I mean he turns into the were-jaguar, and it looks like shit. Bebop looking really cool, and then this were-jaguar looking like shit are just so drastic. I'm like,
And then I have questions about the clothing, because you can tell he kind of looks like buck naked when he's changing into a jaguar, and then later he's putting his pants back on, and I was like, didn't they get destroyed?
Yeah, it was a little. The clothes.
Were you taking your pants off as soon as you realized?
I'm changing. Oh
my god, so much pain. Wait. Don't look at me.
The queen kills Bebop. He made a bad trade. He's like, I want to be all powerful. She's like, yeah, temporarily.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
For a short time. That's
kills
all.
him. Tempts him to grab Excalibur. Kills Broom. Broom is dead. It's very sad. Not as sad as it was before.
No.
But yeah, Hellboy gives in and grabs the sword, like you said, and then he becomes like a giant in this version. He gets bigger. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he does.
He gets way bigger. He grows the horns, has the crown.
And now this whole sequence, no, not the whole sequence, I should say, where all the these creatures come up from hell,
and they all look like Siren Head a little bit.
They were fucked up, and I loved it.
Those were really cool, and I'm like,
yeah.
They kind of remind me of I don't watch this because cartoons are for children, but they kind of remind me of the Attack on Titans, who are just big and mindless and eating people.
I don't know. I don't really watch that, but
because some of them are I rarely watch it too. I just know so many people who share clips and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of.
But these are actual creatures from hell. One it's got the big sword, and he slices the guy in the middle of it. The other one's got these pointy legs, and it's just kind of kebabbing people as it walks down the street, and I'm like, these are terrifying, and this would be a great movie.
Yeah.
But it's just randomly thrown into this.
Yeah, it feels like it was just added. We need something to make this ending more exciting. What's happening
horrifying
outside.
too. He's coming from hell.
That is the weird thing. I'm like, this is way more interesting than whatever you're doing in the church. Have Hellboy fight these things. Holy shit. Or have her turn into one of them. I don't know. That was for as cool as those scenes are, they're just shoved in this movie. That's not that good. I agree. Those things were cool. They look like a fucking Hellraiser thing or something.
Yeah, they do, because they're torturing people basically.
Yeah. And they put a lot of those in the trailer, so it made it seem like those were going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
I thought, not knowing, she turned into one. I thought that's what it was. So yeah, Ben gets ready to kill Hellboy with the magic bullet, and then Alice vomits up Broom's ghost. And now here, it's supposed to be like an emotional scene, but he looks like he's covered in snot, and he's got a weird baby arm, and he's got like a weird like CGI face on this bad CGI body, and I'm like, I can't take any of it. Like the emotional beat is not working because
the emotional beat also doesn't work because he just did not have any heart for Hellboy throughout the entire movie.
He had like a tough love thing, but it never seemed.
Like there wasn't like they didn't pepper in anything to be like, oh, actually he did really care about Hellboy, like gifting him anything or having these moments where he was trying to take care of him or give him advice or I think the one he's shaving him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, that's like it.
Yeah, so like there is no emotional, and like that ruins it further when he's
where he just looks like I wish again
regurgitated monster.
If this was like a comedic moment, maybe it could have worked. I don't know, but like it's just not hitting the emotional beat it's supposed to hit because he's got a weird baby hand and he looks like he's made out of vomit. It's so gross.
Take my good hand.
Take my strong hand. That's what he looks like. But yeah, whatever. Hellboy snaps out of it, and he decapitates her. And then he sends her head to hell. So I guess technically she's alive. It's just you would have to go to hell to find her head.
Yeah. Maybe she won't be as bored now.
Yeah, and honestly, they should like cut like all her fingers off and send them to different places and
like really chop her up into little tiny pieces.
Like put one of her pieces on the moon. Like so it's really hard to put her together.
Put one piece in Baba Yaga's house.
Yeah, just anything. And then to show that he rejects his true nature, he breaks his horns off. Mm-hmm. Oh, he makes a joke about heads when he throws her head and he does a one-liner.
Quit while you're ahead.
No! Yeah, tonally it feels like it was two different films.
Yeah.
That they smushed into one.
Like they tried to like... Yeah, it feels like they tried to like change it to be something else. Maybe because like the Deadpool movies were doing well. They're like, well, we can also be an R-rated tongue-in-cheek comedy. And like, you're not as good as the Deadpool movies. Although I heard that David Harbour called Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And it was just like, hey, remember when you did Green Lantern? I think I just did one. This is not as bad as Green Lantern, but no. So yeah, then Broom defends his choice to spare Hellboy. 6 months later, they're in Serbia, and as soon as they said Atlanta Society, I went, it's gonna be Abe. And also because he spoiled it in that one episode we did. But I'm like, there's Abe. There he is. And it's like...
Also, I hate this song.
I forget what song they're playing.
It's Kickstart My Heart.
Oh yeah,
and like I don't.
Oh, and it's a corridor. It's a corridor fight, which are very popular in Super. But it's in the post credit. I'm like, was this at it where they're like, oh, Daredevil and stuff have corridor fights?
And like, I don't mean like that song's a fun song, like in general.
Yeah.
But like, it's so awkward.
Yeah.
And like, and they're also wearing like all these like they're silver, like they look like spacesuits almost.
Yeah. And then speaking of. Making it like other things, the music, it's just like make it like Guardians of the Galaxy, put a bunch of songs people know in there. It's like, all right. Again, you had such a strong director's vision in this. So when you see this movie and it's like, make it like other things, it's like, it's not really working.
Yeah.
But yeah, Abe's there. And then we get another post-credit sequence with Lobster Johnson at the grave and he's a ghost. And we literally get, all right, that happened, which is like the most criticized line of dialogue ever.
Wow. All right, that happened.
And then there's another scene.
There was another one?
Yeah.
What happened after that?
So we go back to Baba Yaga, and
how many fucking credit sequences are there?
It's only this additional one. So she's at her table, and she's making a bargain. You don't see the other person that she's talking to.
Yeah.
But she's making the bargain, and she's like, you know, if you go and take care of Hellboy for me, or get his eye, because she's still obsessed with this fucking eyeball. She's like, I will finally let you die. So it's in the comic books, it's Koshi the Deathless.
Oh, okay.
So
who played him in this one?
You don't see him at all. You just hear a voice.
Oh.
So it's supposed to be like, ooh,
Yeah.
like it was supposed to set it up for the next one.
I know Hellboy's a popular comic, but is it like that popular that people will be like, "Whoa!"
I think people who like really love the comics would be excited by it.
It's
Because like Hoshi basically, I'm not really gonna spoil too much here because this movie didn't get a sequel. Nothing else happened. Got rebooted again. Like he does this for Baba Yaga, but then he basically like joins Hellboy. Like he becomes like
gotcha.
helps him. So,
But yeah, this movie bombed. A big bomb. So 3 strikes, you figured they'd be out. And then I was disappointed. I'm like, well, all things considered, you could have just done a wrap up to the trilogy. Who gives a fuck? I would have lost money either way. At least it would have been finished. And then, yeah, a year or two ago, they were like, Hellboy versus... Actually, no, a few years back, they were like, we're doing Hellboy, The Crooked Man. It's original story by Mike Mignola for the movie. Directed by Brian Taylor, who him and another partner used to direct like the Crank movies together. What was the other one I mentioned? Gamer. They did a bunch, and then they have experience with superhero films.
okay.
I think they were involved with Jonah Hex, but they directed Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
So good hands. Good hands.
Yeah, really good. When it comes to like, hey, you know, that other one didn't do well, but we'll do a good follow up that'll make even less money. They got that guy.
Is this like I didn't look too much into this. Is this like one of those situations where like they didn't want to lose the license?
That's what I'm thinking. Although I forget who made the first. The previous one was Lionsgate. Were they all Lionsgate? I did see that like this one had that company like Magnet releasing, so maybe it was that. But yeah, this is, and it looked very low budget when I first saw like the pictures and stuff.
Yeah, when they started releasing some stuff for it, and we're like, ooh, this doesn't look great.
Which I get going low budget because these movies don't make a lot of money, but they do have a fan base. So if you spend a little less, you can maybe get that fan base in there and make some money. But yeah, this is yet again another reboot. Although he looks pretty much like the Ron Perlman Hellboy, like makeup wise, they try to make him look like the
but just skinny.
Just skinnier. Like, I mean, obviously he's gonna look different, but like, whereas David Harbour seemed like a very different look, this one they're like make him look exactly like Ron Perlman. But yeah, he is played by Black Tom from Deadpool 2. That is it's a white guy named Black Tom, and Cable shoots him, and then it leads to this running gag where Deadpool thinks Cable is racist all through Deadpool 2 because he killed a guy named Black Tom who was white.
I don't remember.
I looked at the rest of his credits. I'm like, I don't know this guy from anything else, and if I didn't do a Deadpool episode recently, I would have not known he was Black Tom. Yeah, I mean, no offense to him, but just like it's not that great. So we have like an okay director, but he's not given the budget he's usually given. He's known for great action sequences, and this movie does not have them. And like you said, they tried to go with like a more horror approach.
And so when it first got announced and like they were showing some of the stills, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just hold like reserve some good judgment for just because of I wanted the horror vibes from it because like the comics are very kind of horror focused. And I was like, okay, maybe it'll work. They're like using a creepy story of all that, and no.
Oh, and they got lucky with the Crooked Man thing. So I had to look up the Crooked Man stuff, and it's like a nursery rhyme basically. I don't know where the horror stuff came from, but the Crooked Man was a character in The Conjuring 2 who looked awesome. That's like Conjuring 2. I'm not even like the biggest fan of Conjuring stuff, but Conjuring 2 is pretty good, even though in real life the Warrens were horrible
but
people.
they do have some good like creature ghost.
And I know it's funny because like the nun ended up being the standout in that movie, but like the Crooked Man is the one who creeped me out the most. He was supposed to get a spinoff because a lot of them get spinoffs.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they kept dragging their feet, and I don't know, maybe COVID or something had something to do with it, but they ended up not doing the Crooked Man spinoff. But since he's public domain, and I think I might have mentioned this in the Spawn episode, they did a direct-to-video movie about the Crooked Man with Michael Jai White from Spawn. He's in it for 5 minutes. He's on the cover. Makes you think he's the main character.
Okay.
So I guess other people were like, wait, that real popular character who's technically public domain didn't get its own movie. So I guess they were like, we're gonna have the Hellboy fight a crooked man. It's like, okay. I'm like, I don't think you guys realize how popular I don't think the Crooked Man's as popular as you think it is. I think most people are like me. They're like, oh yeah, he was in that one movie I liked. And that's it. So yeah, they went in with this idea, and I guess we'll go through this movie. It's not going to be as long.
Yeah, it's not going to take as
Oh, it's by the way, it is a short movie. It's like an hour and 45 minutes.
It felt so much longer. It
felt so long. Because I had to wait to like watch it. I'm like, oh man, I hope I get to watch this before Monica gets here. And I'm like, oh, I have enough time. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, how much more time? I'm like, oh my God, why does this feel so long? And you think it wouldn't feel so long because it starts off pretty fast. We get an old school like Hammer horror type font with the logo. And I'm like, oh, this feels old school. And it's immediately ruined by the worst CGI train I've ever seen in my entire life. And then we get Hellboy. And I mean, the makeup is fine.
It's his makeup. Yeah, his makeup is, I mean, it's very like low budget looking.
Yeah. There's technically nothing wrong with it.
But you can tell like he's wearing like the fake abs.
Yeah, I guess that is wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems off. Maybe because they are trying to make him look so much like Ron Perlman and you know that he's not. It just feels weird.
He just also, it kind of reminds me of the other Hellboy reboot where it was like, he's more almost body-wise, he's more human looking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this one really was like, we're not even going to try with him. Like, he's going to be red and have like his kind of bigger right hand, but like, it's not that much bigger.
Yeah, and they're transporting a spider demon.
Yeah. Also, this movie takes place in like 1959.
Yes,
so,
I saw it was like the 50s, which makes sense. He would have been around for a while.
Yeah, he's
from like the 40s and whatnot. Who was Lady? I just have BPRD Lady the whole time.
Bobby Joe Song.
Is she a character that is in the books?
I don't remember.
Okay. I will say.
But he calls her Joe throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah, funny thing about this. Okay.
Okay.
Did you watch that show that came out last year, based on a true story about the guys, the couple that starts a murder podcast with a real murderer?
No.
Okay. There was a really hot lady in that show.
Okay.
I follow her on Instagram, and I guess she's friends with this lady. So last night, I'm going through my Instagram stories, and this actress, I guess, like, had a party with all her friends to show her this movie.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, that's really nice. They're all supporting their friend in this movie. And then after watching this movie, I'm like, oh man, I would have been pissed. All her friends were probably like pretending it was good. They're probably doing the like, oh, you were really great in it.
Okay, to be fair though, she was the best actress.
Yeah, she was fine. She was fine, but
she was the best actress in this whole entire movie.
Oh, you didn't want me to squash?
No, squashing's good.
Well,
I like her, and
there is a better actor in this. He's not good in this movie, but he's good in another thing, and I can't wait to tell you who he is.
Okay, but this is Adeline Rudolph, and I immediately know her from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
No.
Well.
Definitely watch based on a true story.
Okay.
My friend is in that show briefly. He has a very tiny face. If you see tiny face Dick Masterson and based on the true story, you can't miss him.
Okay.
He's a big Mexican with a very tiny face and an obnoxious voice, who on every episode of his show says that I have a giant head. So now I have to make fun of his tiny face.
Okay.
Spider gets out.
Yeah.
And again,
and it's a spider that's like can warp dimensions or something.
Yes, it's got all these demon powers tied to it. They have it in stasis, but something wakes it up.
Yeah.
And again, talking about CGI, that's hit or miss. Some shots it looks good. Some shots, it looks like a CGI fucking spider. Which again, it's a lower budget, so I'm willing, same with 2019, if I watched this on its own in a vacuum, would have been fine. But if when I watched a bunch of other Hellboy movies before this, and this is the newest one, and the spider looks like that, I'm like, that stands out. That stands out. And by the way, the opening fight scene's terrible. Them fighting the spider and then like the cartoon train car falling off. I'm like, this is really bad. It ends up going into a mine. This whole area that they're in.
They're in the Appalachian Yeah.
Appalachian.
You know what? Because I watched this stupid TikTok and they were fighting over how to say it. And now it's one of those things that's stuck in my brain. And I'm like, wait, Appalachia? Appalachian?
I think it's Appalachian.
But no, the other guy says Appalachian or something.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, everybody says it Appalachian. And like, nobody says Appalachian. But I guess it depends where you live, like region-wise. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yo, I was going to say, by the way, you mentioned the 50s.
Uh-huh.
Good way doing your, how are we going to do our period piece? What are we going to do for wardrobe? Set it with a bunch of hillbillies so it can take place anytime, anywhere. Like, wow, that's a real lazy way to get around a period piece. Like, yes,
Yeah.
it's all in the 50s, but only in the Appalachian with hillbillies who just wear generic clothes. Like, oh, thanks for that.
And let's talk about these hillbillies for a second.
Yeah.
I love how, like, in this, the other Hellboy reboot,
Yeah.
they all know who he is. So they're not shocked when they see this fucking devil-looking guy come up to their house.
Yeah.
Come walking through the woods up to their house. They're like, oh, yeah, we saw him on a newspaper or a magazine or something. Like, we know who he is. That's Hellboy, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're still super fucking racist to Bobby Joe.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They make a bunch of, like, Asian jokes about
Well,
her.
it is the 50s. World War II was not that long ago.
But we're accepting of the fucking devil.
Oh, wait, and isn't, like, the Korean War going on at this time? Which, I mean, I don't think she's Korean, but they don't know that. Well, he's not the devil. He's just a devil, but I guess they're cool with it.
Yeah, but, like, if I see a man that's, like, looks like the devil walking down the
Well,
street.
considering what we know about them and where they live and all the stuff that's going on, they're like, yeah, I guess the devil's here now. Makes sense.
I mean, true. That makes sense. But, like...
I mean, they literally have just, like, a naked boy on the ground who's, like, foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, they're all just sitting around there smoking and drinking.
And they're like, what's going on with this? They're like, bothering that witch. We told him not to, and he bothered that witch. And I'm like, should anyone be more concerned?
And for some reason, he has to be in his underwear for the scene. Like, he can't be in clothes.
And then, because why would Hellboy be the main character in his own movie? We get Tom
Farrell?
Yes, and as soon as he shows up, I'm like, I guess this is the real main character. He kind of is.
I don't know how to say this exactly.
Yeah?
But I've never seen an actor on screen more that, like, I just want to punch as soon as I saw. Like, he has a face that you just want to punch. Like, he's so fucking annoying.
Yeah, he just
randomly walks up at the same time that they're like.
It's very convenient.
I'm like,
he's like,
hey. And he's like,
I'm coming back to town. Oh, there's the devil. Anyway,
I'm like, oh, that poor Billy boy. He's what did he do? No, this is normal. Like,
oh, witches. Yeah, I know them around. That's why I left. And then they finds out. He's like, oh, by the way, your mom's been dead for years and your dad is gone. And he's like, oh, that sucks.
Well, that's what I came back for. Oh,
and he's like, well, I guess I'll talk to that girl I know who's out in the woods.
Yeah, that girl that I used to love. But then this awkward whole thing is like, oh, they find like the witch ball with the little boy.
Oh, whoa. Before we find the witch ball, this movie's broken up into chapters, I guess. And we get a chapter that says witch balls.
Yeah.
And then we see a witch.
That has to explain what witch balls are.
They want to know how to make a witch ball. Well, I'll tell you.
Who is she explaining this to? Who is she?
And she randomly shows up later in the movie and like.
Wait, she does?
Yeah, in the fight scene.
Oh my God, I missed.
All around the cemetery.
Oh my God, I missed that part.
Yeah, and then she's like, "That lady was a fornicator. She's a sinner."
That was the same guy. Okay,
I'm pretty sure.
So she just shows up talking to the camera.
I thought she was going to be way more important.
Yeah, so did I. And she's explaining the recipe to make witch balls, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
like it's super easy.
You know what this reminds me of?
If you don't have flames, you can get store-bought flames instead. Like, you know that joke.
But yeah. So this actually reminded me how this scene is being presented with the crow there and everything. It's reminding me of like when the characters talk to you in Until Dawn and The Quarry.
Okay.
When they always cut to those characters in between chapters. That's what it felt like. I'm like, oh, is she going to show up at the next chapter break? And you're right. She never does anything like that. There's no scene filmed like this
Also,
again, where it's breaking the fourth wall, kind of.
Also, like, the witch ball only gets shown one more time, and then that's it. Like, there's no more witch balls in the entire movie.
Again, an hour and 45 minutes. I think they were like, we need an extra scene that can't be special effects or anything. They're like, get an old lady.
And let her, she can just say whatever. She can name a bunch of random ingredients.
So yeah, now we learn how to make witch balls in the witch balls chapter of the movie. Yeah, so they go to a witch's house, which is her friend.
Which is Tom's original love.
Yes. And they
Clara
find
something.
Whatever. I have witch and other witch in my notes. They find her skin. And they're like, well, she's probably out being an animal. We'll wait for her to come back.
Yeah, like it's a totally normal thing.
Yeah, and then Hellboy.
They're like, she just left her skin there.
Yeah.
It
They come back
all
to
the
the
time.
skin.
Whatever.
And as I'm watching this, I'm thinking that skin is the witch lady we just saw, but no, it's a different witch lady.
No, but I did find it hilarious. I was like, raccoon in a bodysuit. And I was like, aren't we all just raccoons in a bodysuit?
We're all just raccoons in bodysuits. So yeah, Hellboy mentions that he had a witch mom, and then the guy mentions the witch crush that he had on the other witch lady, and then how he met the Crooked Man.
Yeah.
And he gave him a bone, a cat bone. And that's going to keep him safe. And it kept him safe
No,
throughout
and he doesn't know it's a cat bone until the end.
Oh.
Because Hellboy's like, by the way, I think
Well, no,
he just had a cat bone.
Well, no. He said he, like, skinned a cat and everything. It was
Oh.
like a cat bone. I know. Speaking of cat, goddamn, Space Cat, leave. Well, no, he knows it's a cat bone, but it's like a magic one.
Oh.
And
yeah.
the Crooked Man apparently needs to claim it at some point, which is why he left. But he said, like, it kept him safe, but he never actually used it to kill people, even in the war. He never gave in to becoming a male witch. So yeah, so we're getting, like, some setup there. I will say the skin scene is awesome when she actually fills out the skin. This reminds me a little bit of Hellraiser 4 when the demon lady goes into the girl's skin. But this one is much more graphic.
Yeah. And then, like, Claire, I'm pretty sure her name is Claire.
I think it was Clara, yeah.
And she's, like, screaming as
Yeah,
she, like,
she's like,
re-enters
"Ah!"
her body.
Yeah. And then the other witch arrives, which is
Yes.
Ellie, something like that. She's
I
super.
want to say Effie.
I think it was Effie. She's super into Hellboy. She's like, oh, look, the devil. How
Yeah.
you doing, buddy? She lets him know the Crooked Man is coming, and then the horse she's riding turns out to be Tom's dad.
Yeah. She's like, I've been riding him real hard. And then she just, like, flies off into the sky.
And then
Yeah. What else happened?
we get another chapter, Lucky Bone.
We also get, I don't know when this popped up, but they changed the origin of Hellboy in this movie.
A little bit.
Like, he was found in the Church of England.
Oh, yeah. They did change that instead
Yeah.
of the island.
Like, his mom is still Sarah Hughes, and, like,
Yeah.
Ezekiel is still his dad. But, like, he was just left in the Church of England.
Although he does say that's what they tell me. So maybe they're like, important to note. There is no BPRD in here. They mention Broom. You never see him. There is.
Well, yeah, they're on a BPRD mission.
It is super self-contained to cut down on the budget, which is why it's a period piece, but it takes place in the wilderness with no technology. They're going somewhere, I guess. And then nice witch lady shits out a snake that bites her. And then it bites Hellboy. And then that's
Okay, so it comes, I don't know if she shits it out or it comes out of her vagina, but, like, and then it just keeps circling, like, it slithers up and goes in her mouth and goes back through, and I was like, ooh, like,
Yeah.
this just seems so unsanitary.
Yeah.
And they're, like, trying to keep her alive,
Mhm.
because this woman also, like, everyone around here just becomes witches because it's the only thing that I guess they can do.
Yeah.
They're like,
It's a cool thing. I mean, you could also just move
I
to where
had
there
no
aren't
other
witches.
choice. But yeah. Oh, her name's Cora.
Cora, that's her name. That is her name. So yeah, Cora and Hellboy, they fight this bad CGI snake, and then they go to this other dimension.
Yeah.
And there Cora shows Hellboy his mom, who's being tortured by a giant bird. And it turns out this is a flashback to when she made the deal with the devil, if they ever say his name in this one. And he's like, yes, your child will do this. And she's like on fire and shit. And then we see that Cora is actually the Crooked Man. So he's putting this vision in Hellboy's head. And we forgot to mention, they were asking why the spider went nuts. And he's like, there's a dark energy here that affected it. And he's like, I know, because it also like affected me. And it's apparently affected Space Cat.
Oh my gosh.
Off camera. I'm going to go over there and I bet you she's going to walk away. I bet you she's going to walk away after begging for attention. Hold on, I'm going to film this. I'm going to film this. Ready? All right, here we go, guys. All right, I'm getting up now to give Space Cat attention. Let's see how much she likes the attention. Okay.
Oh, Space Cat.
Here I come. Yeah. Do you want attention? Oh, you're running away. You're running away. Who would have thought? She doesn't. Monica, she doesn't leave me alone. She wants to spend time with me, but she doesn't want to be down here.
Okay, so she wants you to spend time with her upstairs.
Yes. So she just screams at the top of her lungs for me to lay on the couch. Because she likes me on the couch or in my bed.
Okay.
If I'm in any other room of the house, she has to yell
It's
at
a
me.
no-go. Gotcha.
She has to scream at me until I go to where she wants to go.
She's back again.
Oh my God.
It's bedtime, motherfucker.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We were talking about things that suck. Space Cat. So he snaps out of it.
Yeah. I gotta say, Cora's fucking annoying.
As soon as you say annoying, this cat screams. Well, now she's downstairs. Yes?
Oh, hi.
Come on.
Come here, Space Cat.
What were you saying, Monica?
Cora is fucking annoying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me more about annoying people.
I'm afraid to say it now. She looks bad.
Keep going, Cora.
I'm glad that she died.
Oh.
Which sounds really mean. But like I have in my notes here, I was just like, she's just overacting so much.
Yeah.
Like, she's just giving it her all, and I'm like, honey, you're not gonna win an Oscar from The Crooked Man.
I mean, she is kind of an unknown actress. This is a big part. You got to give it your all, I guess. The accent isn't helping.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Oh, Monica, is this distracting? Is this distracting, Monica?
it is.
Monica, could you imagine working from home and just hearing this nonstop? I'm going to put you down now.
Do you want to come to me?
Okay, I'm going to put you down. And you're going to lay down or something.
Do you have like a little bed for her?
Not down here. She wouldn't use it.
I don't know.
Once in a while, she'll give in and sit on the couch, but...
Why don't you go hang out on the couch, girl?
Hellboy and the Crooked Man. Let's
Yeah?
continue our conversation.
Okay, so Cora's dead.
Cora's dead. So is Space Cat, apparently. She's leaving. Goodbye. They go to a church.
Yeah.
Because the whole time they're like they were going on to this church to bury the dad.
Yeah.
So yeah, they meet this priest who's blind and he's talking to ghosts. Do you know who do you know who the priest is?
I do not know who the priest is, and you've been so excited to tell me all night.
It's Jeffrey the butler from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes, he's not doing a fancy British accent, so you couldn't tell it was him, but I looked it up. I'm like, wait a minute. I know that face. Like, it's Jeffrey!
No!
We've lived long enough to see Jeffrey from Fresh Prince team up with Hellboy. We did it.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that was a goal we were trying to obtain. But
But yeah, even though she's dead, she still visited this church. He's like, oh yeah, I'm talking to Cora right now. She's right
and then
there.
he says like her soul is saved or something.
I guess so.
I don't.
Well, they're on consecrated ground, apparently.
Yeah, but like she died somewhere else.
Yeah, and then I have here blah 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 Crooked Man, blah 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 time stuff because time gets all messed up. Blah blah blah. There's now a bunch of witches outside. And then the Crooked Man comes, and he also has an annoying hillbilly accent.
I come to collect it, Tom Farrell.
even though he was like one of the first like people. They say in his origin he was. Oh, we forgot his origin. We forgot to mention the origin of the Crooked Man. They go into it and we just totally glossed over it. He was like one of the first people from Europe here.
Yeah.
In this land, and then
like
he
wheeling and dealing basically.
Yeah, and then they hung him,
That's
which is why
he's
he's
crooked.
and then he wants to come back for money and souls.
He makes a deal basically with the devil.
Yeah.
And the devil, for every soul he gets, he can only get a penny.
Okay.
So it'll take him forever
Okay.
to reach that goal.
Got you. And for some reason, he's super powerful and not afraid of Hellboy.
Yeah.
But whereas the other Crooked Man, forget about the original origin of the nursery rhyme. The Crooked Man from Conjuring, which these are all kind of ripping off, he actually was crooked, and they got like an actor who was all disfigured to play him. And this, they're like, it's crooked because he was hung, so sometimes his neck goes like this. And I'm like, that's not as cool.
Yeah, and then sometimes he doesn't have that like issue.
No, he
like his
doesn't.
head's just perfectly normal.
Well, the other Crooked Man movie, it was like all like, it was just, they added like a digital wiggle effect on him to make him crooked. It was so, me and Anthony watched it. We're like, this is awful. Oh my God. I felt bad. We watched a lot of bad movies, but that was one in the middle. I'm like, buddy, I'm sorry. I thought this would be funny. He's going to trade for the bone, right? The lucky bone.
What? He's really obsessed with that bone.
It's something magic. I don't know.
Whole thing for a bone.
But I do kind of like, because at this point I forgot like Hellboy's like important to the plot, because he's just kind of standing there doing one-liners. Other than it's like Hellboy. If it's not about him being sad about his mom, he's just like one-liner. I punched something.
Okay, I have to go back really quick when they're doing like the whole flashback and like, this is like your mother, and he's like, Hellboy's just like, well, I wouldn't really know. I never met my mom. And then like 2 seconds later, yeah, I guess that's my mom. I was like, what the fuck was that? Like,
oh, but I do like that Hellboy interrupts the trade. He's like, you want this too bad. I don't like that. And he wants to punch the Crooked Man. And like I said, this is our first real good look at the Crooked Man. He sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks. He does kick Hellboy's ass though. He like impales him with a bunch of like parts of the fence.
Yeah, the rods from the fence.
Yeah. Totally impales him.
And this is where like that witch, I'm pretty sure the witch who's explaining the witch ball recipe is one of these people that's just hanging out outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure she's the one that says like, that lady is a fornicator. Like, she shouldn't be buried on consecrated ground.
Oh,
and that allows a Crooked Man, like all these people cause sin.
Yep, that's right. I have here. Oh, they're zombies now.
Yeah.
I feel like I said that not too long ago in the other Hellboy movie. Oh, there's just zombies now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then okay, so BPRD girl. What was her name again?
Bobby Joe.
Bobby Joe.
But he just calls her Joe.
Yeah, I didn't realize she was Bobby Joe, or else I'd be doing the Evil Dead 2 quote constantly. Bobby Joe. By the way, the Evil Dead play, how they write that character out was really funny. He's like, well, there was supposed to be 2 of us, but they decided that there were too many females in the play. I'm like, that's a really funny way to write her out. She's literally been hanging out with a devil, and she saw a witch, 2 witches, and a big spider. And every time something supernatural happens, she's like, there's no way that could happen. It's like, lady, can you catch up? How did you even get this goddamn job?
Well, he like, Hellboy makes fun of her at one point, like, oh, this is the first time you're leaving like the safety of your little library where you're just researching stuff.
Yeah, but like, why is this? I can see it's shocking, but like, I mean, why does she like refuse to accept that it can exist, knowing everything that she knows?
I don't know.
I mean, I know it's shocking to see it in person. Like, but like, I wouldn't be like, well, there's no way that could ever exist. It's like, what? The devil's right over there. What the fuck are you talking about?
You were literally working for the Bureau of Paranormal Research.
Yeah, you really gotta like get in.
Did you just think this was a fake job?
Reminds me of John Mulaney's stand-up bit about Ice-T and Law and Order. How he's like million seasons in, he's still shocked by sex crimes. They're like, buddy, this is like, you really have to get used to it at some point.
I know it sucks, but it exists.
This girl's gonna be like 100 years old. She's like, what? A fucking snake monster? That can't be real.
But then the funny thing is like, she asks Cora
Hmm.
she asked Cora while she was still alive. She's like, how do you make your spells work?
Oh yeah.
And then she's like, Cora's like, don't you go touching that girl. Don't you go messing with that stuff.
Well, she needs to know about the spells because later on she's got to do something in the mines because all the mines are like the veins.
Yeah, they're like the veins, the circulatory system.
Which honestly, I don't see how that plays into the finale at all, really.
It's
other than they needed to give her something to do while Hellboy punched things. But yeah, so they're fighting. The Crooked Man makes the priest young temporarily and tempts him to get his eyes
he can
back.
See and stuff.
Yeah, but instead he uses the magic bone to make a magic shovel.
Yeah, the priest somehow knew that was gonna work.
Yeah,
like, give me the bone, boy, and he just starts scratching it all.
He puts a cross on the shovel and they start hitting them.
And that's their weapon of choice.
Okay, new chapter, the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom and Hellboy are gonna go punch the Crooked Man. The other two are just going to stay there and they'll come up with something to do.
Stay safe in the church.
But they're not going to do it. They're going to go on their little side quest.
Yeah.
It's called the Hurricane because there was something about a hurricane that moved some rocks. Who cares?
Yeah, and there's shit. That's a lot of boulders.
That is a lot of boulders.
That's a lot of boulders. And I don't know. They act like they got there in 5 seconds. And I'm like, that would take you like
a really long time.
Days.
Yeah.
Weeks, maybe? I don't know. That was a lot of fucking boulders.
It is hard to lug boulders. Ask Mundane Matt. The people who get that reference are laughing right now. Don't worry. Joe and Jeffrey. I have Jeffrey, the butler, are going to go into the mines. Monica, we have a problem here.
Oh my God, what?
Hellboy goes into this mansion where the Crooked Man lives.
Yeah, he's got a real nice mansion.
He says, could use a woman's touch. Woke. This movie, if you were wondering if this movie was woke, it is woke. No, they're literally YouTubers. I make fun of them all the time. And it's just like, they're literally YouTubers that are like, how woke is it? I'm like, wait, is the movie good or bad? It's just like, I mean, it could be woke. I mean, you can factor that into why you think it's bad, but like, it's not even, is this movie good or bad? It's like, is it woke? I'm like, Jesus
that's my limit.
That is my limit. I get yelled at for reviewing movies because some of the people watch those guys. And like, that other guy said it was woke. Why are you watching it? I'm like, because I actually watched the movie. And yeah, it sucked, but it had nothing to do with wokeness. So yeah, the Crooked Man is messing with all their heads while they search for him. He's messing with the heads in the mansion and then also in the mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then here, during all this chaos, the priest implies that Hellboy is afraid to tell Joe how he feels about her.
Yeah, that's when we get the first tidbit, like there's a romantic connection between them.
Was there anything like that earlier?
No.
Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't think I missed anything.
No, neither of them like had any witty banter that could be construed as flirting.
No.
Or like
he seemed annoyed by her, to be honest.
Yeah, and I know you could be like, oh, boys tease girls when they like them.
But he wasn't even like teasing her. No. It was just kind of like she was an afterthought. And then like, it wasn't even like he's just concerned for her safety because he respects her. It's just like, nah, he's into her. I'm like, is he? I'm like, I didn't pick up on any of that.
Yeah.
So that's weird. And then Jeffrey dies. Crows eat him.
He sacrifices himself to save Joe.
Yes.
And he's just like, no, like they'll help me. And he floats up in the tunnels and then the crows just eat him.
Does she ever do a spell down there?
She does a spell.
Okay. What does the spell do with the...
It has something to... Because the spider's down there, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She faces off against the spider.
And the because I had in my notes at one point, I was like, did they give up on the spider? They kind of stumbled on this boy in his underwear and witch balls, and then they didn't discuss the spider again.
I will say this whole scene is just from, Star Trek V. They're all like reliving like pain from their past. So she's remembering like her dad dying. Mm-hmm. He's remembering his mom and whatnot. And this literally is the scene where like Spock's brother, gets the whole crew to relive tragic moments from their past, and because he wants to relieve them of their pain.
Okay.
But then Kirk is like, no, I want my pain. Even though it hurts, it made me who I am today. Instead, in this one, a bone hits a Crooked Man, and that snaps him out of it. And then I don't think the other guy goes through any of the pain stuff. He just uses his magic bone to throw that witch out the window.
His magic bone.
It was a magic bone. It was a magic bone, okay? And then Hellboy finally fights the Crooked Man. We've seen so many cool on-screen Hellboy fights. And this one is all shaky close-up.
Yeah.
And again, knowing who the director is and all like the crazy stunts and fights he did in his other movies, like, dude, like this was I'm like, I feel bad. I'm like, there's no way you wanted it to look like this. You had to be fucked on budget and time or something. I can't accept that this director would hand in such a half-assed fight. It like really upsets me. I'm like, something had to have gotten fucked with you. Like, I can't put it on him.
I think they had a small budget.
Yes.
Because.
But you could still have a cool fight scene with a small budget, but it was like, was it because the makeup and you couldn't do like, I would really like to know.
Like I said, he's wearing like a rubber kind of like,
yeah.
And I know other like superhero movies have like a rubber suit for the abs.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe it was so cheap that like if he was trying to do too much action, maybe like something was happening to the suit.
I guess, but it's weak. It's
Yeah.
weak. And I expected like, at the bare minimum, I expected some cool fights and gore and stuff, and we didn't really get any of that. What's his face uses the magic bone on him, and then the Hellboy shoots his head and he turns into pennies.
Yeah, I was like, wait, how did that work out? And then maybe because of her spell.
I think her spell and the magic bone, and who knows what are in those bullets with their Jesus bullets. I don't know. But yeah,
and then it's just a bunch of pennies.
Yeah.
That fall out of his skull.
So he goes to hell, I guess. Is he defeated? I guess he is. If those are all his souls and they're just lying there, I guess he's back in hell.
Yeah, I guess because he didn't really.
Yeah. I guess
keep up his end of the bargain,
and then
like Tom is just like Hellboy picks up one penny and he's like, "Is that my soul?" And Hellboy's like, "I don't know."
Should we collect all these pennies and take them with us just in case? But yeah, then the evil witch is old now.
Yeah, they stumble upon her somewhere in the woods.
And she's like, I don't know how to be old.
And she's like countering.
Mm-hmm. And then he's like, I have horse stuff from earlier. This will play out later.
Yeah, he's been just carrying that around the whole time.
Yeah. And then the lady got the spider back, and now she can see the dead priest or reverend. They can't see him. Yeah, and then Hellboy and lady fly away, and again there's like this romance, and she's like cuddling with him on the helicopter. I'm like,
well, yeah, like they try to do it where like they run back to the church.
Yeah.
And like
she's like almost dead.
Joe, and he like goes stumbling, and like she's almost dead, and he like helps her up, and I'm like, yet again, you're forcing this.
Yeah, it's just unless something was cut out to make it shorter. By the way, we forgot to mention this had a theatrical run in the UK. In the UK, very briefly, and you could not. Were you able to rent this? I didn't see any rental option. No. You can only buy this.
Available to rent or buy,
but it's just buying. It's just buying, and I checked. Like the closer you get Fandango's app, you can get all the Hellboys, including the animated ones, and a discount bundle. But yeah, like they won't even let you just rent this.
Yeah, they're like, you're gonna buy this.
You're gonna spend $19 on this. It's like, no. But yeah, so maybe they cut a lot of stuff for time, but then they cut too much and they did the witch ball thing. I don't know.
Well, I did read apparently like the director had to go and like some of the scenes he just did on like his own computer and like a Photoshop thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So
I mean, he is experienced with that stuff, but that's usually not a good sign.
Yeah, he had to like put some stuff together, and I forget the reason why, but like,
yeah. Yeah,
so this was a movie.
It's rough. This one is rough. But now that we've talked about both of them, what is the worst Hellboy reboot so far?
The Crooked Man. It's
yeah.
Crooked Man.
Come on, Snake, let's rattle.
Like, and I feel because like I would appreciate the horror vibe so much more if it was done better.
Honestly,
because like they keep trying to say like, oh, it's like kind of trying to call back to like a low budget horror movie, and I was like, there's already been established Hellboy movies, and like you can't just do that.
You know what this would have been fine as? If it was a little bit shorter, this would have been a good pilot episode for a Hellboy show.
Yeah.
I would have forgiven a lot more stuff if this was like a Hellboy TV show and this was like 2 episodes of it. That's almost what it honestly, that's kind of what it feels like, because it's so removed from the BPRD. It's just a mission, very few characters.
Yeah, like I could have side missions.
I could have seen this being a TV show. It was weird because I'm less disappointed with Crooked Man because there was just nothing to expect there. Hellboy 2019 disappointed me because I'm like, we could have gotten a 3rd movie and you did this instead and it failed, which upset me. But yeah, 2019, for all its flaws, feels more like a movie. It's got something.
Yeah.
I'm not blown away with either of them.
Like I said, there's just that, like, I love the creatures from hell.
Yeah.
And I know that's not enough to really like be like, this is skyrocketing it, but like,
yeah,
comparing those two, and then I mean, I feel like it's also kind of a weird insult to the other movies, like, but especially because like Mike Mignola co-wrote this one.
Yeah,
like
he co-wrote, not even like
co-wrote
story.
it, yeah, because he was like he didn't really like the direction they went with the other two, and because he really wanted this to be more of like, in the comics, Hellboy's more of a paranormal detective.
I get what they were going for, and again, if it was a TV show, it's fine. As a movie, it just didn't work.
No.
Again, like in a TV show, you can sprinkle in a romance slowly. You can't just tack it on at the end of a like the tail end of a movie.
Yeah.
And it had like a little bit too many like Bobby Joe should have went with Hellboy to the mansion instead of having her own side mission, because it didn't feel like it amounted to anything.
No, besides getting the spider back. I
Yeah.
guess that was going to save her job. I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't think she was ever in risk of being fired because Hellboy's there. You could be like, yeah, the fucking train car fell off. What the hell were you supposed to do? Yeah, Hellboy, the Crooked Man is definitely the worst one. But as I said, I'm not thrilled with either. But I also don't hate either. I'm never going to watch them again, ever. Will you ever watch these again?
I mean, I might watch the 2019 one again, but like that would just be like kind of a random throw something on kind of deal.
Yeah. If 2019 is playing on TNT on the TV screens at the gym, I might look up at the screen once in a while. But other than that, not really gonna watch this one too much.
Yeah.
And then Crooked Man, I'll never watch again.
No.
Yeah, it's just more of a slog. Again, you said like slower, like horror stuff, but it ended up just being mostly boring. And for an hour, 45-minute movie, it should not be really boring. It should just move.
And if you
but
want
yeah,
it to have the horror vibes, dive into the horror.
So when do you think they're going to reboot it again? Because they waited 10 years or 11 years between 2 and 2019, and then they only waited like 4 or 5 years between these. Have they already greenlit a reboot?
Not that I know of. I don't know.
When they said they were rebooting this, I did the whole George Costanza meme where he's just like, "We just did this a minute ago." I did the same thing with they said they're doing another Netflix is doing their own Death Note. It's like, you guys did that. It sucked. Why are you doing it again?
Because they got like weird success over one of their adaptations, and they're like, we can do this better.
No, you can't. You tried. You can't.
Yeah.
I just don't think Hellboy works as like a film. I just don't think it could pull in the tickets and numbers and stuff. Like, as good as these two movies are, they were kind of outdone by a lot of other films.
Yeah.
It's just, I get he's a very popular comic book character and everything, but he just doesn't have mainstream. It's like a wrestler who's really good, but he can't draw tickets. He'll never be the champion.
I think a TV show.
A TV show could work, although the makeup would be annoying, but the TV show could work.
Or if they went back to doing, like, the animated movies are really good.
Yeah, I wonder why they didn't do more of those.
So I feel like if they did, like, an animated series, it would work.
Yeah. Yeah, they should try that. Like, its own animated series thing. Go back and try that. But yeah, that is it from us, Monica. We did it. Every Hellboy movie. Feels great. We did it. Wow, Hellboy week is already over.
Aw, time flies.
Don't worry, we'll come back.
Just like that witch.
We'll come back and we'll do that animated movie or 2 movies. How long are those? Those can only be like an hour or something, right?
Yeah, they're pretty short.
It's the voice cast from the films, right?
I believe so.
I kind of like that. But yeah, that is it from us. Please watch all our other Hellboy episodes. Let us know what your favorite Hellboy movie is. Yeah. I will be shocked if it's one of these 2.
I will say I did find a positive review of Crooked Man online, and I was like, "What are you smoking, my dude?" So apparently, some people do like it.
Like I said, if you go into any of these your first time knowing nothing about Hellboy, you might like them. I don't know. But yeah, that's it from us. Please like, share, subscribe, join Patreon. Monica, can we follow you anywhere or no?
You can follow me on my Instagram.
Okay.
Story in the end. I have a TikTok, but I watch other TikToks. You can just see if I reshare other TikToks.
You're not doing the latest TikTok dance?
No.
You're not dabbing? That's not even TikTok, is it?
I actually don't know.
What's a TikTok thing?
I don't know. Well, now there's all different types.
Oh,
of
what's
TikTok.
that stupid one where they're playing like a weird remix of Dr. Beat and people just showing different outfits?
Oh, they dance, yeah, and they do that.
That shit's annoying. Because I know that real song, and it's like a remix song. I'm like, that's not how the song goes. And I'm like, why am I looking at it? I don't care about your outfits.
It's a trend in like, is it Korea? No, the Philippines. It's a trend somewhere, and it got really popular there. And like,
well, I gotta ask my friend Frozen Asian. He's Filipino. He can fill me in on this.
Okay. So yeah, but no.
Okay. Hack the
TikTok
movie
is Monster She Wrote.
Monster She Wrote. Okay. Hack the Movies on TikTok. It's the same vertical clips from YouTube Shorts and Instagram. I don't have time to do the TikToks.
No, like I said, I'm too old to figure that out. So
I'm on there. I'm doing the bare minimum of just being on there.
Yeah.
Because podcast clips are popular. I'm like, well, that's the one thing I can do on TikTok. I can't do any of the other bullshit on TikTok, but I can't afford to ignore it because this is the world we live in, Monica.
Yeah. And just give it another year or 2 and there'll be something else.
Yes. And so like, share, subscribe, buy merch. Book me on Cameo. I haven't done a Cameo in a bit.
Aw.
Book me on Cameo.
Yeah.
I love doing cameos.
You've done breakups, right?
I think have I done a breakup? I don't remember, but if I haven't, you'll be the first one. You'll be the first one. I've had to motivate guys to do good on a date. Why they paid me to do that, I have no idea. But yeah, so do all that, and we'll see you all later. Goodbye.
Bye.
We did it.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other videos and Patreon page.